I've been uploading game videos to this channel for about 8 years now, and I decided to make a video on how I do it. I use two PCs to record now. Since my last gaming PC upgrade in 2021, I converted my old gaming PC into a recording PC. I used to do home recording in the 90s, so I'm obsessed with sound quality. The audio part of a video is the most important part to me. I use XLR microphones and a small mixer, which feeds the audio interface into my recording PC. Technically, I could simplify things and plug the microphones directly into the audio interface, but the mixer gives me more flexibility. In the past, I've had great results with an old Rode condenser microphone, but right now I'm using an Audio-Technica dynamic headset. I record in a very live room, and it's very easy to pick up excess noise and echo from the wooden walls and floor. It's worth sacrificing some microphone quality to reduce room noise. I used to use a Shure headset, which was even better at reducing noise, but I found the hypercardioid mic sounded a little harsh, and more importantly, it was uncomfortable to wear. But if you need to record next to a vacuum cleaner, I'd recommend it. I use a cheap Behringer compressor as a mixer insert on the headset. I set the compression at about 4:1. I use a Mackie USB mixer because it has essentially two outputs, one analog and one USB. The analog output goes to the audio interface in my recording PC, which goes into OBS, but the USB output goes back to my gaming PC, so I can add voiceovers in post-processing if I need to. Editing on the gaming PC is much faster than it is on the recording PC. I use an AverMedia PCI capture card in the recording PC. I used to use an Elgato capture card, but I kept having random audio dropouts, so I replaced it. Nothing annoys me more than audio problems. I experiment with recording a webcam from time to time, but I very rarely publish it. I find that face cams are useless unless you're good looking and/or you're doing something interesting with your face. And 95% of the time, I'm just staring blankly at the game screen. It just draws the viewer's eye away from the game for no good reason. Still, I recently got a Logitech Brio webcam, and before that, I used a Logitech C920 webcam. Sometimes I even record both at once. I got some cheap LED lights that I can turn on when I'm recording at night. Quality video is mainly about lighting, which isn't a subject I care much about, so I do the bare minimum I can get away with. Another reason I avoid camera video is that I have to clean the house. Yuck. Not to mention it's a lot easier to edit the audio tracks if you don't have to synchronize them with any camera video. Like the rest of the world, I use OBS to record the videos. I have it set up to record multiple audio tracks. One for the game, one for the headset, and one for a backup microphone in case I accidentally leave the main microphone muted. The backup microphone is just a blue Snowball USB mic, and it sounds awful whenever I have to use it, but it's better than silence, and it's way better than having to re-record a video or a voiceover. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do as a backup if you lose the game audio, though. Good luck fixing that. Ding. Lately, I've been experimenting with recording multiple video streams as well as multiple audio streams. That's more of a pain to deal with, though. For video encoding, I use the NVIDIA encoder. I usually set keyframes to 1-second intervals to give me more flexibility in editing. For audio encoding, I record at 48 kHz and encode anywhere from 192 to 256 kilobytes. And after all that setup, I finally get to play a game. I can only play for an hour or less before I need a break from the screen. I have back, neck, and shoulder problems, so I can't sit for long periods of time anyway. I could never be one of those streamers that plays for 8 hours a day, or for 24-hour marathons. On weeknights, I can only record 1 or maybe 2 videos, if that, but on weekends I might record 4 or 5 or more videos, depending on how much I like the game. I have to have a mute switch available at all times to cut the microphone whenever I cough or sneeze or something. I'm plagued by mucus and phlegm, so I'm constantly having to clear my throat or cough, especially if I record in the mornings. So last year I splurged on a fancy schmancy Elgato Stream Deck and an Elgato foot pedal to use during recording. Before that, I just used a cheap wireless numeric keypad, which works just as well. Otherwise, I just play the games and say whatever comes to mind. There's a mysterious skill and a kind of performance art to talking out loud while you're playing a game, which is something I've been working on for 7 years now. It activates a part of the brain that otherwise goes unused, and it doesn't come naturally. But I'm used to talking to myself in my head all day, and I found that it's largely a matter of disabling that social filter that keeps me from doing that in public. As for what to say, I just try to convey what I'm thinking about the game at any given time. I talk about what I would be interested in hearing if I were watching someone else. The thought process that goes into game decisions, the things about the environment or the story that stand out as unusual or interesting, and of course, dumb jokes. Once the game session is over, finally there's the post-processing, which can be quick or very time-consuming. This is probably the part that I've spent the most time trying to streamline over the years. I'm constantly tweaking the workflow and trying to automate things to make it easier on me, and I change something on almost every game series I record. I lean heavily on FFmpeg command line scripts. I'm a programmer in real life, so that stuff is fairly easy for me. If you don't know, FFmpeg is a command line tool to read and write video files, and it's packed with processing tools. In a perfect world, I wouldn't do any manual editing on my recordings. Usually, I just run a script that mixes the game and microphone audio tracks together the way I like and spits out a final MP4 file. Usually one high-quality version for uploading to YouTube and one lower-quality version to archive onto an external USB hard drive somewhere. The script works about 75% of the time. But sometimes I need to cut out boring parts of a recording. The first thing I'll try is a program called Avidimux. If you can manage to make the cuts on keyframe boundaries, it doesn't require re-rendering the video, which saves tons of time and preserves the original quality. Sometimes I need to edit only the audio tracks, usually to fix a section of the commentary where I accidentally muted the main microphone, so I have to copy over a section of the backup microphone track. In those cases, I'll use Audacity for simple edits, or Reaper for more complicated edits. But sometimes I need to use a full-blown video editor. When I go into a video editor, it's usually for complicated montages like condensing 5 hours of boss fighting down into a half-hour video, or perhaps adding titles, and it's very time-consuming. It could take 4 or 5 times as long to edit those videos as it does to record them, so I try to avoid that. I used to use Movie Studio Platinum for many years, but lately I'm starting to use DaVinci Resolve as my video editor of choice. It's quirky and it has a bit of a learning curve, but I'm finally warming up to it. And that's it, just a few simple steps and 8 years worth of making mistakes, and that's how I make videos. That's the secret, really. Just keep making new videos and try to learn from the mistakes you made in the old ones. Good luck. Can I have some more ammo?